Would you like to work closer to home, save money on gas, and be rewarded for your hard work and attendance? Then Bellisio Foods is looking for you. That's right, Bellisio Foods is now hiring for multiple positions and shifts with great employee benefits, an on-site health clinic, competitive wages, and advancement opportunities. Bellisio Foods is a company that truly values their employees. Apply online at belisiofoods.com/careers.
Hey everybody, it's your old pal Porterhouse, and have we got news for you? It's the brand new Cycle Search 2023, and we've got not one, but two we're giving away.
That's right, it's twice as nice, and you're going to find our prices right here at Honda Suzuki Polaris Can-Am KO of Jackson, just off U.S. Route 35 at the Standpipe Road exit. Porterhouse giving the big bike away over there. Tell them about it.
Well, this one right here may be a little bit used once it gets into your possession, but basically what you're going to be doing is searching all over our listening area for a set of keys that will go to these KOs. And of course, what will happen is you'll listen to the clues, you'll try to figure out where it's at, and once you think you know where it is, you go look for it. And when you find it, you win!
Exactly. So how do you win? Be listening to Matt and the Morning Crew. Each weekday morning, you're going to get your clues there first on Mix 96 FM. Matt will have those clues, and then you can hear them across our total media platforms on 97 Country The Bull, also on WCJO FM, Pure Rock 98.7, and Fox Sports 105.3 FM. Again, you find that key packet, you're right away on a KO Storm 150 or this beautiful KO Predator 125. It's all from your friends at Total Media, and of course, Honda Suzuki Polaris Can-Am KO in Jackson.
Happy rainy Monday, everyone, and welcome to the beginning of your work week edition of the morning show and the morning news update edition of the morning show right here on Main Street TV. Pete Wilson has on his pink shirt. I have on my purple shirt. Your people called my people. We blend.
Okay, well it's a high value production affair.
It is.
But the wardrobe manager came through.
Yes, we're kind of like Valentine's Day, a little bit late.
Yeah, just a little bit late. But shouldn't Valentine's Day
It
go
should be
365
Valentine's
days?
Day,
Exactly.
Yes, every
exactly.
day. That's right. Well, we want to welcome you all to the show. I want to thank Nia Henry, agent for Appalachia Realty, for sponsoring our morning news update. That's a great thing. Give her a call, 418-4135, if you have any real estate needs. And you know what? It's Monday. It's rainy. It's icky. And I say you can get out and search for the cycle search or the cycle search packet, I guess it is. And we're going to give you the clue right now. How's that, Pete? Okay. Let's get it out of the way.
Right. And if you do go out, take an umbrella with you.
Yes.
And hang on for dear life because the wind is going to blow strong this afternoon.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough one. The good news is these winter storms that are passing through the, across the country, we're not going to get the snow that a lot of folks are getting, but the wind and all that will continue to pick up. And, man, I just don't remember wind the way that we've had the past year or so.
Yeah,
it's been ridiculous.
We've been very lucky. The way, of course, we had the winter storm that was to the north of us last week. We escaped there. I think we were in the 60s when they were getting belted by the snow. And then this week, of course, the bad storms in the southwest and in the plain states. We're going to get that today, but when it gets here, it won't be nearly as bad. Thunderstorms, probably. High winds for sure.
Yep, absolutely. So just hunker down and be prepared for it. Bring in your lawn chairs and all the stuff that you might have out on the deck. Hi, Barbara Summers. She's watching this morning. Want to give a shout out to our good friend there. All right, are you ready for the cycle search clue?
I'm ready. I'm taking notes.
Okay, this is day 6. The newsman always takes notes.
Right, exactly.
Even if you can't win, right?
Right, can't win.
All right, day 6, cycle search clue. Are you all ready? A new week begins with the packet still in play. Get outside and go search today. Anything in there?
Well, yeah, it must not be inside, right?
There you go.
Okay, I pick things up quick, don't I?
You do.
Okay.
Nothing gets past you.
No, that's right. So, yeah, what is there? A million places still in the running.
Yeah, so you're saying it's outside.
Well, that's kind of what I drew from that.
Yep. Get outside and go search today. There you go. We'll see. I love this. This is so fun.
The journey of 1,000 steps begins with the first one or two, right?
There you go.
Right. You got to get on. Got to get going.
Got to get outside.
So to get where you're going at the end.
Yes.
So get on that. Listen every day for the cycle search clue and put them all together. And who knows? Maybe you'll win 2 of those vehicles.
2 times.
Right. Exactly.
All right. Cool. Well, I assume, considering the fact that it was the weekend and we haven't talked since Thursday or so, that you have a stack of news to go over. Some good, some bad, probably.
Right. We do have quite a bit. And in the second half hour of our associate editor, Phil Buffington, who covered some of our newsier stories, will be around to talk about those.
Well, it's about time. He never wants to come hang out with us anymore.
Well, he's going to come and hang out. And there's so much that we had to divide it up. So I'm glad to have him back on here in the second half of the hour. Okay, I'm going to start off with a story that I covered. It happened shortly after we were on the news on Thursday morning.
Yes.
And this was a very destructive house fire. They're all destructive, but this one was super destructive.
Yes.
Occurred at the home of Debbie Willis, at 126 North High Street in Jackson. That is a picture there shortly after the fire started. It actually started in the kitchen, which is on the lower floor, but it gravitated upstairs into the attic area, the second floor, and that's where, you saw a lot of the fire and smoke damage.
Yeah.
And, if you'd roll by that house now, right here in town, you'd see the structure there, but so much smoke and water damage throughout the house that Fire Chief Dave Channel of the Jackson Fire Department considered it, his preliminary assessment was a total loss.
Sure.
And Jackson firefighters got help from 4 other fire departments, and it was just not only a tough fire to fight, because there's a double roof in that house, and so the fire was kind of caught in between a little bit. It was hard to get to.
Gotcha.
So they were there for several hours fighting that fire. The structure, the house is there, but all the damage inside, that you can't see, made that house fire so much worse. Nobody home when the fire started, as far as people go, but there were 4 dogs in there. Debbie, of course, well known for her dogs, her therapy dogs.
Yeah, and one of them, Jazz, which is right there, I believe, actually was here on the program not too long ago.
I remember Jazz was here, and that is Jazz right there being administered oxygen.
Yeah,
by a Jackson police officer. That's Chuck Bach there on the right. I want
Thank
to give
God
him
they
credit.
did that.
And Jace Perdue with Jackson County EMS is on the left. I was there to see that. We ran that picture in the paper. It's also online and on our website. And as I watched, when the dog was there on the ground, it was in definite distress, having trouble breathing. By the time that they were able to take it to the vet, it was breathing again. But it was in what is considered the doggy version of ICU up in Columbus for a day or two.
For sure.
But Debbie did post this either on Saturday or Sunday, and I will read it, because so many people were concerned, not only for her, but for her pets.
Yeah.
I have great news. MedVet called and said Jazz is now doing great and can come home tomorrow. I am so thankful to every one of you who have prayed for him. God heard you and answered our prayers. I was so scared when I first saw him laying in the grass with Jace Perdue and Chuck Bach administered to him with oxygen. I was also told that Stephen Moore was the fireman who found and carried Classy, that's another dog, and Jazz out of the house. I will never be able to thank you enough. Thank you, everyone. And so she did mention Stephen Moore. Stephen Moore was one of the first firefighters on the scene. He's actually a city employee as well. So valuable. He's on the street department, but he turns into a firefighter when needed.
That is amazing.
Which is so important manpower-wise during the working day when other volunteer firemen may be working out of town and can't answer a fire call. But Stephen, there were 4 dogs in the house. A neighbor, don't know the name of the neighbor, was able to get 2 of the dogs out by simply opening the door. fire department, police department came. Stephen Moore was able to go in the house and carry out Jazzy and Sissy. Was able to carry out both dogs. They needed help to get out, and Sissy was came around quicker than Jazz did, and Jazz actually needed administered oxygen, and Jace Purdue and Chuck Bach took care of that. The fire believed to have started in the kitchen, unknown cause. Once again, nobody home. Debbie was on the way to an appointment, came back, in time to be able to take Jazz to the vet.
Great.
So that story, was featured on the front page of our Saturday paper.
Horrible story, best ending that you could hope for.
Right.
Though.
And the story that we have online now and that we had in the paper, that was pre the good news about Jazz having apparently a full recovery.
Well, the thing is, and if you don't remember, Jazz was here on the program because Debbie, he's a certified therapy dog.
Very specialized training.
Very specialized. They take them all over the country, go to different places where people need that kind of therapy, and hospitals, all kind of different things. And he's very trained in doing that. So he helps others so much. It's what a good thing that someone was able to help him as well.
Right. And I tell you what,
all goes full circle.
Oftentimes in fires, when it does happen when people perish or pets perish because there's nobody to get them out.
Right.
It's because of smoke, not because of fire.
Yes.
And already 2 of those dogs were overcome by smoke, and who knows how close they were to death. I put the headline, "House Fire Proves Destructive, but 4 dogs all survive brush with death." And that's certainly what it was under those circumstances. And thank God that the fire department got there as quick as it did, that the neighbor helped with the first 2 dogs, and that Stephen Moore, he's a hero. He went in the house and got those dogs. Don't know whether they were in there or not, or he knew Debbie or whatever, but he went in the house and carried out those dogs. Just what you might see on Chicago Fire or something.
Yeah, absolutely. So this begs the question, Pete, and I don't want to dwell on it, and I would like to ask Dave Channel this question. Is there something that one should do when you have pets in the house in that very instance? So what I mean is, is there a sticker that you should put on your door?
I've seen them before.
Something like that says, I have 2 dogs inside, 1 cat in the basement, to let you know where they should be, what they look like.
Right. My niece lives out on Beaver Pike, and she lives alone. She's a young lady who has a job during the day. She's got a very beloved little dog and a very beloved little cat, and she has a sticker on her door that says, "Please rescue my animals." And then there's a check mark there for dog, a check mark there for cat.
Yeah.
And then there's other animals too that you can check mark.
I think that's so smart.
That tells the firefighters that, if there's any way that you can get in there while you still can, and there's a dog or a cat maybe in there, maybe already overcome, or maybe in a room shut up or whatever.
Right. Like right now we have the puppy. She gets put in a crate during the day. Mm-hmm. She couldn't get out, obviously, so they'd have to know where to look for her.
Right. And so that's so smart to have that sticker. Don't know where you get them, but obviously you can.
Amazon. You can get everything on Amazon. Let's just get that. Hey, you know what that would be?
That may be where she got them.
This would be a really good job for zip printing.
Right. Oh, that's a good idea. We'll have to get with Stacy and make her life a little busier even.
Stacy is so nice, and every time I walk around the corner, she's like, what? No, she doesn't, but I can tell that's what she would. They're very busy back there. They do a fantastic job.
They certainly do.
Okay.
Well, we have another story. We have an update on the William Beach Jr. story.
Okay.
This also happened on Thursday. I learned from the Jackson County Sheriff's Office. We already knew that there was other body cam video that had not been released. The BCI released the one body cam. It was from the deputy who fired the shot.
Yes.
That ended up hitting William Beach Jr., who died, later that same afternoon in that incident on Jisco West Road. I was made aware that there was other body cam video. We have requested that, by the way, from Ohio BCI, and we have been told that our request is being processed. So we probably will get it released from them at some point.
Sure.
But the sheriff's office also had that. They have refrained from sharing information or a body cam video because the investigation is active and ongoing, as we know,
of course,
from the Ohio BCI. But the sheriff's office feels that there was body cam video not released that supports their position and the deputy's actions. And they made me aware of it. I made a public records request. They did not release the video in full to me. They told me that there is 6 body cam videos of people who were out there. All the deputies wear body cam, okay?
Yes.
Body cam.
Yes, they do.
Altogether, 6-7 hours worth of video. They showed me, I think, excerpts of 4 of those different videos over a 3.5-hour period Thursday evening. They let me see it. They rolled the tape. They did a still if I wanted to see a still.
Okay.
They showed what they thought were relevant things that were not showing on the other body cam video. Now, we didn't post the body cam video. They didn't make it available to me. They didn't give it to me. We didn't post the body cam video from BCI. We reported on what was in there, and we did the same thing with what we saw at the sheriff's office. And here were the 4 takeaways. It was it was written up in a detailed story that is now posted on our website, free of charge. You can see that. It's also linked to Facebook. Also, it was on the front page of our paper as well. But the 4 takeaways were this. One of the things that people noticed was the gun on the cardboard box.
Yes.
And if this was not a deputy's gun, and it wasn't, and Beach was supposedly armed, was that Beach's gun, and was he not holding a gun when the deputy fired? Here is what I saw and their explanation. This is a very important point.
Okay.
They showed me a still, hard to see, but I can confirm that I saw the same thing that they said was there. They had a still shot of that cardboard box just before deputies entered. Just before deputies entered. That body cam was on that. There was no gun on that box then. The handgun was not there.
Okay.
Okay. When they breached, when they made their first breach, you could see the handgun on the cardboard box. They said, remember, the sheriff told us earlier, and we reported it, that when they first breached, when they first opened the door, they said that Beach had a gun in his hand and charged at them. That is when the deputy fired the shot, which they said they didn't know hit Beach at first.
Correct.
They discovered later, yes, it did hit Beach because they could see that he was wounded.
Yeah.
They said that when Beach charged, he must have dropped the gun that he had in his hand and it landed on the cardboard box. And that's what you saw in the video released by BCI.
Okay.
So they said that was Beach's gun. He did have it in his hand, but he dropped it and it landed on the cardboard box. It came off the cardboard box in the confrontation.
Sure.
When they're in there, Beach is yelling and kicking, and they're yelling at him, of course.
Yeah.
And they're moving around. The gun, you can see the gun falling off the cardboard box then. So that is their explanation for the gun on the cardboard box. That explanation. Now, what the video didn't show, this is also very important. None of the video, I'm sure they wish they could show me this, but it does not exist. There is no video to back up their assertion that Beach was coming at them with a gun in hand. It does not show on the video. They have an explanation for that. When they went in, they each had body shields.
Yes.
The body shield at that point, when Beach was coming at them, those 2 or 3 seconds, the shield was blocking the body cam. Mm-hmm. So all you see is the shield. You know how, if you remember, if you saw the video, did you see the video? I did. There's times where you know that something's happening, but you don't really see it. That's because the shield is blocking the body cam, that's on the chest there or wherever it is. And so that evidence is not there. If it was, that would be, a key point in the sheriff's office position that it was a justified shooting. So that's point 2. Point 3 is that during the prolonged negotiations, which very little of it was shown on the video that was released by BCI, during this long time, Beach can be heard saying, when a negotiator asked him, do you have a gun? He could be heard answering, I do. I heard him say, I do on the video.
Okay.
All right. A lot of the talk between negotiators, more than one negotiator, and Beach, it's hard to hear because Beach was given what they call a throw phone so they could communicate better and they could hear each other better. He refused to use it. They threw one in, but he refused to use it. So the only time that you hear him, and sometimes you can't make out what he's saying, is when they're talking to each other. You hear the negotiators better than you hear him, but you do hear him say, "I do," when that question was posed, "Do you have a gun, William?" He also said, according to a negotiator, you can't hear Beach say this, but a negotiator repeated what he heard Beach say to another deputy. He said, they was asked, "William, how do we resolve this?" The negotiator, you hear somebody talking, but you can't make it out. I could not make it out. The negotiator then told the other deputy, and you can hear the negotiator say this, "William, what will it take to resolve this?" William said, according to the negotiator, "You're going to have to shoot me." That's how it's going to be resolved. So also, when they were in there, when they cleaned up the scene, picked up the gun, which was, after it fell off the box, it was by William. He didn't have it in his hand there after he was injured. There was a hatchet in there, which they said he was seen with earlier, and also something they didn't know he had. There was a knife in there as well. So 3 different weapons, a knife, a hatchet, and a handgun.
Okay.
Also, they wanted to make this point to me. At the end of the video released by Ohio BCI, you can see after the deputies realize that Beach is wounded, they're trying to help him.
Yes.
Well, another body cam video from one of the deputies shows them trying to treat him with gauze and stop the bleeding. It's obvious that the wound was not only in a bad place, it must have hit maybe an artery because he was bleeding a lot. And probably, we don't know what the autopsy said yet, but probably it wasn't just the gunshot wound. It was the fact that he bled profusely, must have hit an artery or whatever. And they were trying to stop the bleeding there. And they did this until EMS got there.
Right.
So they thought it was important that I see and that we relate to the public that they tried to save him and treat him even after he was shot.
Well, the one thing that not the one thing, but one of the things I took from the original video that was released that was, clear as mud to everybody and has kind of sparked some controversy was the fact that the officers immediately changed their demeanor when they realized that he was wounded, and they immediately went into try to save him mode. I felt that. Right. I could feel that in their voices and whatever. We're really mad at you. Oh my gosh, we're going to save you.
No, I mean, without a doubt, on the body cam video released by BCI, the deputies were very aggressive. They threatened to shoot. They thought all they knew, Beach had a gun in his hand or at his side then. They didn't know about the gun that was on the box. They didn't see that, according to what they told me. And they also didn't know that he was actually hit. The deputy was aware, according to what Sheriff Frazier and Chief Deputy Scott Conley told me, that the deputy was aware that he fired the shot, but it was dark in there. The body cam casts some light like a flash does from a camera, but the deputies themselves, it's mostly dark in there. The only light in there is the light that's showing through the door, and Beach is back in the corner a little bit there. So, it's kind of like the proverbial shot in the dark. And they don't know that he was shot and wounded seriously. They heard him yelling. He kicked them. He allegedly kicked them. So they thought that he probably wasn't hit. Later, they did realize that he was hit. So anyway, so that's the update on that. BCI did not give me any indication whatsoever that they were near the end of the investigation. I think that I can safely say that the sheriff's office feels a little frustrated. They would like for it to be wrapped up one way or the other.
Well, because the more time that goes on, it just gives people time to create things in their heads.
Right. So anyway, more body cam video will probably be released, and it will give people who have a chance to see it a more thorough view. Bless you.
I'm sorry.
Bless you. Bless you. A more thorough view of what happened there. And once again, to come back to what we had said earlier on TV, the Jackson County Prosecuting Attorney Randy Dupree has asked the Special Investigations Unit of the Ohio Attorney General to decide the course of action after the investigation is over.
Yeah.
That means a number of things. They could decide, hey, listen, it's a justified shooting. There's no reason to take it any further. They could say, we're not sure. We're going to take it to the grand jury and let the grand jury decide. Or they could even have an opinion that it's a justified shooting, but we want the grand jury to look at it anyway.
Correct.
So just because it goes to the grand jury doesn't mean that they're seeking an indictment. It means that they want it reviewed.
Yes.
And there's different schools of thought on that. And it may be different cases. There may be different takes on different cases. Some prosecutors feel that they should make the decision. They're the legal expert or whatever, and others want a second set of eyes, 9 eyes on the grand jury,
Sure.
or frankly, they want cover for their decision.
Yeah.
So we will see what happens there. You would think that it would be wrapped up pretty soon. The sheriff's office made a point to me to say that they gave everything that the BCI wanted in the way of investigation. The last thing they sent up was on February 7th, and quite frankly, they're wondering why it's taking so long.
Okay. Well, and so, you got to see some things with your own 2 eyes that, the rest of us haven't. And so that's interesting.
Right. And I will say this, the sheriff's office wanted me to make that request.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they were in a position to release anything themselves.
Sure.
Because, everything had been Ohio BCI. But basically everything that Ohio BCI has, except for the follow-up interviews, is what the sheriff's office had in the first place.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
All right. Okay, speaking of the crime front, this is in neighboring Pike County, but it's kind of a hot one right now, so we're going to tell you about it.
Okay.
There's a kidnapping case that occurred there yesterday, and the subject is still at large, as of at least early this morning.
Oh, my.
Pike County Sheriff Tracy D. Evans sent us this information. He said that on Sunday morning at 10 a.m., Pike County deputies responded to the area of State Route 220 and River Road, that would be near Piketon, in reference to a call about a possible abduction with the use of a firearm. While responding to the complaint, deputies observed a vehicle matching the description of the suspect's vehicle. They attempted to pull it over. Of course, it took off. High-speed chase occurred. The vehicle did get away. However, the victim, who was in the vehicle, was later seen walking at about 2 p.m. along Rapp Montgomery Road in Pike County. So obviously the victim got away or
So the
was
kidnapping
released.
victim.
The person who was allegedly
kidnapped.
abducted.
Okay.
Correct. The suspect, however, remains at large, and we do have a picture of him. Timothy Joe Brown, who was believed involved in the abduction. There he is.
Okay.
He is from Waverly, Ohio. He is described as 34 years old, 6 foot 6 inches tall, 300 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes, a tattoo on his upper left arm and right arm of a Confederate flag and of a skull. He does have outstanding warrants for the Adult Parole Authority and is considered to be armed and dangerous. Now
That's a big dude, Pete.
Yeah, and we're talking within 8-10 miles of Jackson County, so we know Mr. Brown isn't hiding or running or whatever, and so that is what he looks like. The Pike County Sheriff's Office and the Southern Ohio Major Crimes Task Force is investigating this. Anyone with information should call the Pike County Sheriff's Office. I will give you that number very slowly: 740-947-2111. Once again, 740-947-2111. All information will be kept anonymous if that is an issue for the person with information. That story we'll have on the radio. We're going to get it posted as soon as we can on our newspaper website as well, since, I'm sure there'll be some local interest in that.
Okay, well, sounds like the victim or alleged victim is okay, though.
Right. And definitely apparently held against their will because there was the use of a firearm involved.
Oh, my.
Okay, well, we want to congratulate one of our best-known public officials here in Jackson County, and that would be the Job and Family Services Director here in Jackson County, Tammy Osborne Smith. She was recently elected, now get this, the president of the Ohio Job and Family Services Directors Association.
Way to go, Tammy.
Right, 80, there it is, Tammy, right there, and she's very forward and progressive person, very good to deal with the media on getting information out on some of this technical stuff that affects so many people, whether it be assistance, job creation, or job employment matters, whatever. So much that they handle there at JVS, child support, adoptions, all like that. Just a plethora of different things that they do there that you wouldn't know about unless you needed that kind of assistance. But there's 88 counties in this state. Jackson County is not one of the biggest ones, but Tammy Osborne Smith, her peers, I presume, elected her president.
Way to go, Tammy.
So we'll have that story in an upcoming edition, and we wanted to congratulate her on Main Street TV. Mm-hmm. Another person in the upward and onward department would be Kent Eldridge. Kent Eldridge has been named the CEO of Buckeye Rural Electric. Buckeye Rural Electric is located in Rio Grande. That's where their office is, but they serve rural electric customers in 8 counties, and that includes Jackson County and Vinton County.
I have Buckeye Rural Electric.
Do you? Okay. Yeah. Well, Kent has been with the company for some time. He was chosen as the interim CEO at the first of the year. After a 30-day trial, the board there says, you're the man.
Cool.
So he is now the CEO. He had been the vice president of member services since 2015, and he is now the CEO. So congratulations to Kent Eldridge. This is a big deal. 18,600 consumers in 9 counties. I said 8. It's 9 counties, and that includes Jackson and Vinton counties. They have 48. They have 48 employees. And their system has 2,000. It covers 2,600 square miles. That's in a 9-county area. So,
a lot of customers.
And it's the kind of a thankless thing. You don't think about it until you don't have the power.
No, they're completely thankless. Just you're only mad at them when you don't have power.
Right, and they have among the greatest challenges because their customers are scattered and rural and many remote. So
listen, I'm going to knock on wood, and I'm going to say when we built our house, everyone's like, "Oh, you have Buckeye Rural. So sorry." We have no problems with them. I mean, it's been great.
Okay,
they've been wonderful. They were wonderful to work with when we built our house. I mean, they're great people.
Right, and as a rural cooperative, they need to be able to pay the bills. But it's a nonprofit deal owned by the members. So
in fact, you get a little check at the end of the year.
That is where at least on the surface of it, you would think that it's consumer driven.
Yeah.
Because they are the customers as well as the owners. Some of them. All right, today, Jennifer. We've mentioned this before, but this morning at 10 a.m., the Jackson Visitors and Convention Commission will meet. We're mentioning that because that's when we'll know maybe when some of the money is awarded by that 3-member tourism board from the city. We'll also know some of the applications that may be presented to them. Some have already been presented to them. Some of the people who have submitted applications for funding may attend this meeting to make their pitches. Our Jeremiah Shaver will be there, and we'll be reporting on that later.
Okay.
That's where it's not only important because we're talking about public tax money, tourism money, not regular city money, but tourism money through the city that comes from lodging taxes, hotel taxes, bed taxes. It's called all those things. That money, we also, it's not only important to report because of the use of that public money, but also we learned about some projects maybe we didn't know about.
Sure, absolutely.
So we will find out about that. A couple other things to report before Phil comes in. 5 Points Road, a section of 5 Points Road will be closed starting today. That's in Sauda Township of Jackson County. It's 0.4 of a mile between County Road 42, Petersburg Road, and the addresses are 356 and 413 on 5 Points Road. They are doing some culvert replacement work or pipe replacement work, and for up to a week, that will be closed. It will be closed while that work is taking place, weather permitting.
About a week, they said, right?
Right, exactly.
So
exactly. Also, we want to congratulate the winner of the spelling bee in Vinton County. Now I'm going to test you. Can you spell telepathic? I want to see if you could have won the Vinton County
telepathic.
Telepathic.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to
You
go
don't mind
with...
me putting you on the spot, do you?
No, I don't mind at all.
All right.
TELEPATHIC.
Yay! Man, you nailed it. I want you to know
I just can't spell knowledge. That's how I got knocked out.
Well, let me
of the
tell you,
spelling
West
bee.
Elementary 5th grader Aubrey Thompson spelled it before you.
Good job, Aubrey.
That's what she did to win the contest. And R. Red Thompson Jr. was there last Thursday evening, so we'll be reporting this here in the paper, one of the papers this week. We also we're going to have the story online today, so you won't have to wait for it. But Aubrey is pictured there. Let's see, left to right, we have Superintendent Rick Brooks. We have Aubrey Thompson, the 5th grader, and then this is through 8th grade, so she's a 5th grader, and she
very
won.
Good.
And then the Board of Education Vice President, Mary Ann Hale, and there on the right is the runner-up, Lizzie Gearhart, and you know what? She's a 5th grader, too. So congratulations.
Really good spellers in the 5th
to
grade.
them. Also, Red Thompson Jr. goes not only to spelling bees, but he goes and sings Welsh hymns as well.
Yes.
On Saturday, he attended the St. David's Day celebration.
Could it be that there was food there, Pete?
Well, he did not turn down his catered meal, which I understand was very good. He did a blow by blow what he had, but
sure he did.
But it was very good. A wonderful program, as it always is, and this was one of the highlights. These folks were here.
They were
on Main Street TV.
Yes,
but this is the Welsh Academy of Voice and Dramatic Art students. They performed there along with the Rio Grande Chorale, which has reformed after being down for a couple years because of COVID. And of course, everybody sang Welsh hymns. They had that fine meal, and they had reports. And congratulations to Jeannie Gendra, who keeps alive the Welsh heritage here in Jackson County. And all you have to do, the former Jennifer Davis, is look at the names. The Welsh names are all over the place, especially around Jackson and in Oak Hill and eastward towards Rio Grande. Oh, yeah, Evans, Davis, all of them.
Yes, Lewis.
All of them. Those are Welsh names. We consider them so common, maybe not so common other places, but very common around here.
Yes, we discussed. I said, how many of you are Davises? And like several of them raised their hand. I'm like, I bet we're cousins. They were like, yeah, I bet we are.
And this all came
somewhere.
This all came from 1818 when the Welsh landed in Gallipolis just for a rest stop. They were going to go on down the river. The boats got away from them somehow. Different stories on how that happened.
Yeah,
but
anyway, they loved our lands.
Then they went east over the hills, and they saw the hills in Gallia County and Jackson County. It looked like Wales, and so they stayed.
They're like, hey, here we are. It was meant to be.
Right. Okay, the Mousetrap was performed this weekend.
It was.
I lament greatly that I didn't get to see it. I was busy doing some other things, but we did get some pictures. We thank our own Brittany from Total Media for taking some pictures. Red Thompson Jr. even stopped off to get some pictures. There's a scene. We know that over 250 people attended the play over the weekend. There were 3 performances at the Markay.
That's awesome.
That's pretty good. Apple City Players is still getting launched and getting public support. But let me tell you, these people, from all I heard, did a great job. Most of them had been in other plays, and this was the first non-comedy play that they did, that the Apple City Players did. And they're going to do 3 or 4 plays a year, I think. You always have a chance to get involved. You don't have to be a professional actor to be involved.
No, you don't.
It's a lot of fun, and they are amazingly good. I am so glad that Apple City Players, Dave and Francis Warner kind of got that started several years ago. So congratulations to them. We'll have some pictures from the Mousetrap in one of our upcoming papers. And speaking of the Warners, they were awarded, if you can put that picture up, Dylan, Francis and David Warner were honored, there they are, for their outstanding service and numerous contributions to the Apple City Players at their annual meeting that was held earlier this year. And those two, as much as anybody, were important in getting the Apple City Players off the ground. Yes. They directed and were in some of the early plays, and the Apple City Players gave them that honor. All right, tonight the Vinton County Democratic Central Committee will meet. Everybody's welcome to come to that meeting. It will be at 6:30 p.m. at the Vinton County Community Building. This Wednesday, the Jackson County Democratic Party will have a meeting open to the public, 7 p.m. at the Jackson County Municipal Courtroom. They'll have a short business meeting, but then Bill Martin will introduce and moderate a discussion on immigration policy. So this is for anybody that wants to discuss that. This Wednesday, the Lay Lenten Luncheons will start.
Yes.
This is something that is a tradition in Jackson among the church community. You don't have to belong to a church or a certain church to go, but 5 or 6 different local churches kind of make it happen.
Yep.
All of them are held at the Baptist Church during Lent. The first one will be this Wednesday at noon. They do it so that it's good for working people. It's going to last less than an hour, but you get a free lunch, a nice lunch, and then they have a short program as well. And so that starts at noon on Wednesday at the First Baptist Church of Jackson. That's by the library, and it will go each Wednesday through Lent. All right, so that is pretty much all I have. I thank Phil Buffington for coming. He is going to report on some very newsy stories here for the last 20 minutes.
That's right. Our good friend Philip Buffington is here in the house, and he is just chomping at the bit to come over and talk with all of you. So we can't wait. Thank you, Pete.
Thank you.
Look at him. He sprints over and lunges into the seat.
Sure.
You look like a guy that has twins.
I know, right?
Do you need to just lay down and take a nap? It's okay, Phil.
Yeah, I could lay down anywhere and take a nap. For sure.
I won't
The
tell
sleep
anyone.
has improved, so
Has it?
It's just broken up a little, but not so bad. It's getting better.
You are on Main Street TV, just to let you know where you are right now.
Like I had trouble knowing what day it was before. Now I have trouble knowing what month it is. And I wake up sometimes if I get good enough sleep. It's like when you're a kid, you wake up and you're like, "Where am I?" I do that like once a week now.
Why did I sleep? What did I die? Like what happened?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, no. So yeah, Phil is blessed with twins.
Mm-hmm.
So here you are.
Most people who have twins are 10 years younger than me, so
if he says anything off color, you'll understand why.
yeah.
We'll try to keep you on track.
Thank you. I need all the help I can get.
So what's going on?
Well, I have some court-related stuff, but
Yeah, you
and some
always have
good news.
the juicy stuff
Yeah.
when you come in.
But I want to start with Congressman Brad Winstrup's visit to Jackson last week.
Yes.
He stopped by last Thursday and toured the Phoenix Quality Manufacturing Plant out on Beaver Pike here in Jackson, which is the Stockmeister-owned mask-making facility.
Mm-hmm.
And he, in addition to taking a tour of the facility, sat down with Mr. Stockmeister and Seth Stockmeister and Ryan Wright, who's the new CEO out there at PQM, to have a pretty pertinent discussion about supply chain issues in the United States, the need to reduce the dependency on China for our supply chain here in the United States, and to get the conversation started on how to improve the functionality of some of these federal agencies like the FDA and NIOSH, because they've run into quite a few issues since they've started up this mask making facility out there on Beaver Pike. So, as we all know, Mr. Stockmeister was, well, I don't know if anyone knows this, but you will now. He was actually contacted by our former Congressman Bill Johnson back in 2020 once the pandemic had gotten started, and asked him if there was any way that he could use some of his existing facilities, like the former Ohio Precious Metals site out on Beaver Pike, to get this started, to get this mask making plant started, because there was no place locally to have a domestic source of masks, and they knew that it was going to be needed.
Right.
Well, you know, he got that going, you know, not only just to make money as a businessman, but to help out the country at a time of need. And so he was, you know, given sort of a verbal promise that, you know, this is going to be needed for even past once the pandemic's come and gone.
Right.
Well, since that time, during this discussion with the Congressman Winstrup, Mr. Stockmeister pointed out he has gotten no orders from any healthcare facility in the state. He's only gotten one order from anywhere in the state as far as the government's concerned, and that was from Governor DeWine's team and Lieutenant Governor Husted. They ordered almost 12 million masks. So that kept the process going for quite a while, kept a lot of people employed, upwards of 50 at the most. But now that number is down to about 9 because that order is almost completely fulfilled. And a lot of the issues they're running into now, in addition to the masks that they make, they're trying to get their approval for a new mask, and that's through NIOSH, the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. And they pointed out to the congressman, they have to go through a certain process and they have to apply for their approval. If you make the slightest mistake on that form, rather than being able to go through and make that mistake right, you have to start all over again and submit all the money again.
So government for you.
And it's frustrating, especially for somebody who was, like I said, told that this would be a very viable business and a needed business.
Sure.
And to have it end up the way it is now. So there was a very beneficial conversation, I think, about how maybe that conversation could lead to a less adversarial approach from these federal agencies to help somebody who's trying to bolster the domestic supply chain. And it was also pointed out too, a lot of the reason why there are no orders coming in for these from healthcare facilities is because they can order their masks from China for 3 cents a piece. There's no way you can compete with that because they get subsidies from their government. Where's the benefit for the U.S. owned, the local company?
Yep.
Pay attention to where you get things, et cetera, et cetera. So that was a pretty pertinent information. That was a pretty pertinent conversation, I think.
Yeah.
For just 10 or 12 minutes, there was a lot of very important things discussed.
Was there any resolution to that, or
this Congressman Mousetrap is he's not new by any stretch to government. He's been involved in Congress since about 2013, I believe, but he's also a physician. He's a podiatrist.
Okay.
And he was in the military, so he brings a lot of experience. And he said that this issue with the supply chain was something that he had noticed while he was in Iraq. When he started to pay attention to where his personal protective equipment was coming from, where his pharmaceuticals were coming from, especially when you're in a foreign nation and you realize that everything that you need is coming from an adversary, from a country
that doesn't like you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's a problem. And so if for some reason we would get cut off, for instance, by China on our pharmaceuticals, that's just one thing. Like he said, our shelves would be bare within 2 months. And we would be left with no answers because we are so dependent on someone, and that's just not a good place to be.
No.
And so he said, of course, the first step is doing what the Stockmeisters did and have their congressman come down, have a discussion. He can take that back to the various committees and subcommittees on which he sits. I think he's on Ways and Means. He's on Speaker McCarthy actually made him the chair of a select subcommittee to examine COVID overall, the effects on the economy, whether or not the mandates worked, what steps could be taken if this ever happens again. And like he said too, it's important that maybe we get some more orders coming into places like PQM because they're one of maybe 2 that popped up in a pandemic.
In a time of need, yeah.
So you would think that would be something you'd see more of, but not when people are pretty aware that they're not going to be making any sort of a profit because people are going to go to China, cents on the dollar.
Yep.
And get what they need. So that will be in a future edition of the Telegram. And then not only that, he came back and toured Total Media not long after that tour. And there'll be another story on that discussion as well.
Okay.
And now we'll move on to the court stuff.
Whoop, whoop.
This is a case that's gone on for a while and it involves a former employee of the sheriff's office. Cheryl Brady, she's from Wellston. She's 54 years old, was an employee at the sheriff's office, and she was accused of stealing close to $38,000 in fees associated with concealed carry licensing. Yep. So that case recently wrapped up, and it involved the auditor of state's office since, it was a theft in office charge for a state-run office. She was sentenced to 36 months in prison. And she does get time for jail time served. She gets credit for that. I haven't been able to speak with court personnel just yet. Most of this is based on a press release we got from the Auditor of State's office. Okay. But there are some particulars that I'll be able to add for a future edition in print. Sure. But she did get credit for her jail time served, and I believe that there's a set time for when she'll be able to possibly get parole. But this has gone on. She was indicted in May 2021 on these charges, and I believe was released on her own recognizance for a while. Had some issue with drug use, and was put back in jail for a while. So that this has been brought to resolution. I'm also expecting a comment from the sheriff on this, since it was an employee of his.
Yeah.
So look for that. Look for more on this in the coming editions of the Telegram.
Okay.
And then another Jackson resident, Melissa Radoon, was actually charged federally. Miss Radoon was formerly a nurse at the VA in Chillicothe. She's held various nursing positions around the Chillicothe area, but she has been indicted federally and is accused of making fraudulent workers' compensation claims that total close to $1 million. And this was said to have occurred between 2015 through 2021. She held, I think, 3 different jobs at that point. She was a case management nurse at Heritage Home Healthcare and Hospice in Chillicothe, was an RN at Wise Medical Home Healthcare, also in Chillicothe, and I think for a brief period of time was employed with the VA.
Wait, did you say workers' comp claims?
Yes.
How?
So, according to, I mean, it's hard to get information on federal cases, but I had the indictment, so I have, some information. So, of course, the workers' compensation program allows an individual who's injured at work or requires a certain medication,
Correct.
that they can provide supporting documentation and receive reimbursement for those certain healthcare-related costs. So, the complaint against her, which is being heard in U.S. District Court in Columbus, it alleges that she would routinely submit these forms for prescription drugs and would falsely state that she personally incurred expenses for those drugs. And she would also attach fraudulent, these are their words, not mine, fraudulent homemade receipts that would support her fraudulent claims for payment. And the total...
So saying that she was injured and she was needing reimbursed.
She wasn't doing it on anyone else's behalf or anything like that. So she would make claims for these prescription drugs that were either never provided at all, or they were provided and were paid for by other means, like her husband's health care plan, for instance. So, and this totals $932,160.87.
How on earth?
I know and it's fairly short period of time.
That is a huge number.
It was like, let's see, 6 years, give or take. So over the course of 6 years, close to $1 million in claims. And so I've looked up the case online, and there's just scant information available, and you're not allowed to attend any of these hearings in federal court as a member of the media.
Okay.
So we'll just have to see how this plays out. But from what I could tell, it looked like there was a plea agreement in the works, which isn't surprising. That's how it goes most of the time.
Yep.
But if she is found guilty of these charges, she could face up to 10 years in prison and likely have to pay back in restitution the money that she is being accused of stealing. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Wow.
And keep you updated. But that case is ongoing, like I said, in the district court for Southern District of Ohio in Columbus.
Okay.
And then another court case that happened recently involves George Randall Carroll, a 72-year-old Jackson resident. And he has been arrested. I think he was just arrested last Wednesday, and has been indicted for sex-related crimes by a Jackson County grand jury. His case was submitted on the 17th to a grand jury, and an arrest warrant was issued not long after. He was picked up on the 23rd, or on the 22nd, rather, and is currently incarcerated in the Jackson County Correctional Facility. He's facing 2 counts of gross sexual imposition. They're 4th-degree felonies. 1 count of gross sexual imposition, that's a 3rd-degree felony. And these, according to the sheriff's office investigators, these crimes are said to have involved separate incidents involving juvenile family members.
Oh my!
2 of the incidents allege that he had touched them inappropriately while they slept, and another involved the juvenile touching him in an inappropriate sexual manner. So this is still ongoing. It's fairly fresh. There's not a lot more information than what was made available to us through the sheriff's office, but we'll be following that as well. And I saved good news for last, so we
Yay, Phil.
can come out of the dramaturgy here. At a recent school board meeting for the month of February, there were, what the school board has adopted here lately is they do shout outs. And just recently they started to actually invite the kids that they shout out to the school board meeting so they can be recognized. They've been doing this for about a year. Each individual building, the staff and the administrators there, they pick out one kid from each school each month.
Oh.
And then the individual school board members honor that kid. They say their names and what they did. And like I said, recently they started to actually invite them. They give them, I think, a free coupon to Dairy Queen to get a Blizzard, or I think it's a Blizzard.
How fun.
So yeah, it is a very good way to include more people in getting honored rather than those who just test well or, et cetera.
Or athletes or whatever, yeah.
So
this is like you're just a good citizen.
Right, yeah.
That's awesome.
And it's for various reasons. It could be for grades, but a lot of times it's for being a good person.
Yeah.
So this month they recognized Westview Elementary first grader Alita Edwards, and she was nominated by all 4 of her school's first grade teachers.
Aww.
And this is for her remarkable improvement that she's had throughout the year. Started the year kind of below her grade level, but has in 5 months' time increased 2 years worth in her reading and math.
You're kidding.
No, so she's really made leaps and bounds.
Way to go.
And she's also said to be very helpful in the classroom and is a social butterfly and is friends with everyone she meets. Aww. And then my son, Parker, was actually recognized too.
Yay, Parker. Woo!
And they're all standing with the board members that recognize them. So Kim Harless recognized Parker, and
Parker's in the first grade going on 45.
Oh, yeah.
I told people.
Then
yes, he's a hoot.
I think the comments mostly come from the building principal. So this would come from Mrs. Michael, but she said that Parker's a wonderful role model to all first grade students.
Aww.
And that they are let's see. He always gives his best. He's kind to everyone. He's always willing to help and is always smiling. And I can vouch for that. He always is smiling. Very good kid.
Aw. Are you just bursting?
Oh yeah, it was awesome to get to see that. And
That's
I knew
so good.
I had a feeling,
sure that you're like, I don't concur with some of those statements at home, but no.
He is a great kid.
He is a really good kid.
Yes, he is. He's wise beyond his years. Then board president Brian Moore introduced third grader from Northview, Austin Spees. And this is a story that he relayed for Principal Melissa Ball at Northview. And she explained that there's another third grader who isn't very fluent in English and is also very shy.
Okay.
So it's a foreign exchange student type thing. But she was spotted sitting alone at lunch one day. And so Mrs. Ball approached the young girl and asked if she wanted to maybe move and sit with some of her friends. She said no. Well, Austin Spees, another little girl in the third grade, overheard that conversation and moved away from her table of friends to sit with the girl who was by herself.
Aww.
And Mrs. Ball asked her if she knew who that little girl was, and she said she had never met her before, but she didn't want her to have to be by herself.
Ugh.
So
that's so precious.
Mrs. Ball said that she's very proud of her showing compassion to her peers, and that's exactly the type of behavior that they want to see.
Yeah, that's so good.
Then the newest board member, Butch Cooper, introduced Jackson Middle School 7th grader Mason Malone. And a lot of Mason's accomplishments come on the heels of 2 major surgeries that he's had.
Oh.
Malone's very involved in sports. He's very high achieving in basically anything he does. But this particular acknowledgement was because of his ability to not only not fall behind following those 2 surgeries, but to also improve his ACT. Or I think I'm getting him confused with the next one. Yeah, I am. I'm sorry. So this is the high achieving end was what I meant to say. He's very high achieving in all of his sports and all of his schoolwork, and as Mr. Cooper said, he achieves excellence in everything he does, and I'm very proud that he represents the Jackson City School District, and that we have another kid coming up through the system who's going to make a difference in our community. Then, the one that I had meant to say about the surgeries, board member Pat McDonald introduced Jackson High School junior A.J. Graham, and he's the one who had the 2 major surgeries recently, and said he not only didn't fall behind, but was able to improve his ACT scores and help his peers along the way. And helping improve their own ACT scores. And then finally, this little girl wasn't here, but the student representative to the board, Jackson High School senior Jade Winters, introduced Southview 5th grader Sophia Elliott. She wasn't able to attend the meeting, like I said, but she's involved in student council, the student-run credit union, basketball, cheerleading, volleyball, softball, and she's always making an effort to make sure that everyone is involved. She's very socially active, and she's very high-spirited. So, yeah, those are the types of, there's a wide-ranging reasons why you can be recognized by the board for these shout-outs. And it is just an effort to boost morale and to get more people recognized for doing a number of good things in school.
Very good.
Yeah. So congratulations to all the kids.
Yes, y'all are awesome.
I feel bad for the kids that happened before. They didn't get to come to the meeting, but at least now, it was kind of a feeling out process. I think it was Board President Moore's idea to get this started when he first came on, when he got elected in the president's position, to start to do this. And I think it's a really good idea.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, Phil, thank you for coming in and spending some time with us this morning. We miss you.
Missed you guys too.
And we're so glad that all's going well. And he's raising one heck of a good son.
Yeah, trying to. Yeah.
Not so much at home. No, he's really good. He's a very good kid.
Yes, he is.
All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. And we'll be back here tomorrow. Do we have any guests tomorrow, James?
I think we're going to tour Honda Suzuki, Polaris, Can-Am, and KO.
We're going to take a tour of the Honda shop and all the other things they sell that I can't remember off the top of my head.
Everybody does just call it the Honda shop.
The Honda shop.
Yeah, that's what I always knew it as.
It's the Honda shop. I live across the road from the Honda shop.
I've known a guy that's worked out there since it opened. So it's a really, really cool place.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were fortunate enough to get, kick off the cycle search out there. And so we took some time and made a video and did a little bit of a tour of it too. So very, very cool. All right. Well, have a great day, everyone. And we'll be right back here tomorrow with that tour of the Honda shop. So we'll see you then. And the other cycle search clue.
Oh, yeah.
Another one. Bye.
Bye.
This just in.
The Telegram News has a new website.
thetelegramnews.com.
Same dedicated coverage.
Same trustworthy news with a brand new look.
Covering Jackson and Vinton counties and surrounding areas.
Locally owned and operated, thetelegramnews.com has its finger on the pulse of the community.
Stay up to date on local events, high school sports, and breaking news.
thetelegramnews.com.
Subscribe today at thetelegramnews.com.
Check it out.